Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afric Today, Fogham, where you can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afric Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.africtoday.com. Afric Today, the best of digital TV.
The reason why buildings are burning is because this city, this state, would prefer preserving that white nationalism and that white supremacist mindset over arresting, charging, and helping to convict 4 officers who killed a black man. That is the reality of what we're dealing with. This is not just a few cops doing things across the country. This is not a good cop versus bad cop situation. This is Ahmaud Arbery being shot down by white men on the streets of Georgia. Breonna Taylor being killed in her home. This is in New York City, where we were until freedom. We were just in New York fighting the police officers who, in the name of social distancing, were damn near killing black young people on our streets. This is a coordinated activity happening across this nation. And so we are in a state of emergency. Black people are dying in a state of emergency. We cannot look at this as an isolated incident. The reason why buildings are burning are not just for our brother George Floyd. They're burning down because people here in Minnesota are saying to people in New York, to people in California, to people in Memphis, to people all across this nation, enough is enough. And we are not responsible for the mental illness that has been inflicted upon our people by the American government, institutions, and those people who are in positions of power. I don't give a damn if they burn down Target, because Target should be on the streets with us, calling for the justice that our people deserve. Where was AutoZone at the time when Philando Castile was shot in a car, which is what they actually represent? Where were they? So if you are not coming to the people's defense, then don't challenge us when young people and other people who are frustrated and instigated by the people you pay. You are paying instigators to be among our people out there throwing rocks, breaking windows, and burning down buildings. And so young people are responding to that. They are enraged, and there's an easy way to stop it. Arrest the cops. Charge the cops. Charge all the cops. Not just some of them, not just here in Minneapolis. Charge them in every city across America where our people are being murdered. Charge them everywhere. That's the bottom line. Charge the cops. Do your job. Do what you say this country is supposed to be about, the land of the free for all. It has not been free for black people, and we are tired. Don't talk to us about looting. Y'all are the looters. America has looted black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. So looting is what you do. We learned it from you. We learned violence from you. We learned violence from you. The violence was what we learned from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afric Today, Fogham, where you can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afric Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.africtoday.com. Afric Today, the best of digital TV.
reason why buildings are burning is because this city, this state, would prefer preserving that white nationalism and that white supremacist mindset over arresting, charging, and helping to convict 4 officers who killed a black man. That is the reality of what we're dealing with. This is not just a few cops doing things across the country. This is not a good cop versus bad cop situation. This is Ahmaud Arbery being shot down by white men on the streets of Georgia. Breonna Taylor being killed in her home. This is in New York City, where we were until freedom. We were just in New York fighting the police officers who, in the name of social distancing, were damn near killing black young people on our streets. This is a coordinated activity happening across this nation. And so we are in a state of emergency. Black people are dying in a state of emergency. We cannot look at this as an isolated incident. The reason why buildings are burning are not just for our brother George Floyd. They're burning down because people here in Minnesota are saying to people in New York, to people in California, to people in Memphis, to people all across this nation, enough is enough. And we are not responsible for the mental illness that has been inflicted upon our people by the American government, institutions, and those people who are in positions of power. I don't give a damn if they burn down Target, because Target should be on the streets with us, calling for the justice that our people deserve.
Talk about it, Tamika.
Where was AutoZone at the time when Philando Castile was shot in a car, which is what they actually represent? Where were they? So if you are not coming to the people's defense, then don't challenge us when young people and other people who are frustrated and instigated by the people you pay. You are paying instigators to be among our people out there throwing rocks, breaking windows, and burning down buildings. And so young people are responding to that. They are enraged, and there's an easy way to stop it. Arrest the cops. Charge the cops. Charge all the cops. Not just some of them, not just here in Minneapolis. Charge them in every city across America where our people are being murdered. Charge them everywhere. That's the bottom line. Charge the cops. Do your job. Do what you say this country is supposed to be about, the land of the free for all. It has not been free for black people, and we are tired. Don't talk to us about looting. Y'all are the looters. America has looted black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. So looting is what you do. We learned it from you. We learned violence from you. We learned violence from you. The violence was what we learned from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
Evening, and thank you for joining us on Africa Today live. We're here today with 2 special guests, and let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Yvette Butler-Yaboa, and my co-host, I'm here with Brother Zeke Amir as our co-host, and today we have 2 special guests. We have special guest Dr. Marsha Coleman Adebayo, well as Comfort Oladipo. Now, Comfort Oladipo is the mother of the slain Black man, Emmanuel, here in Montgomery County. And I'm going to let her say his last name. But before I go on, I want to just briefly hit on a few statistics. Then I'll bring our guest in, because today we're going to talk about from the womb to the tomb. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we're talking about from the womb to the tomb, because Blacks nationwide, worldwide, we are the most impacted individuals. We're impacted in the womb. We're 4 times more likely to die from infant mortality. So just imagine, we're being afflicted in the womb all through life. And as we talk about from the womb, then we come to today. We come to our young people today. We are literally 4 times more likely to be shot and killed by a police. It's alarming to hear the statistics. Let me give you a little statistics that just recently came from the CDC and from the national statistics about death on Black men by police. In 2019, there was 1,004 deaths just by police afflicted and impacting our communities. Then we come to 2020. We already have 429 civilians already killed nationwide. So just think about this, just by the hands of the police. And then let's talk about the tomb. And Dr. Adebayo will talk a little bit more about that. They are desecrating this very moment. They're desecrating the oldest, the largest, and most historical cemetery in Bethesda, Maryland, called the Moses African Cemetery. She'll go more into that and tell you more about it. But let me tell you, this needs to stop. They are killing us from the womb to the tomb and desecrating us every single day. When and where does it stop? I'm going to stop there, and I want Dr. Adebayo, now I said it wrong that time, Adebayo, to introduce herself and tell you a little bit more about her. I would go on her history, but if you look, she has an impressive history. She wrote No Fear. She was a whistleblower for EPA and has an amazing story and history, and also is the president. She's the president of the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition. Marcia, I want you to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. I'm the president of the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition. We're working very hard to stop these developers in Bethesda, Maryland, from desecrating one of the most significant African burial grounds in the United States. It's significant for a lot of reasons, but one specifically. And that is that at the end of what they call, what Europeans like to call the transatlantic slave trade, which was basically a European human trafficking trade, they decided that they would force young Black girls, African girls, to actually breed more Africans in this country. Where we're located in Bethesda, Maryland, was one of those sites. And so they were literally forcing young 8, 9, 10-year-old girls, so they call it priming, until their menses started. So they were forcing them into sexual violence, or they were the targets of sexual violence at a very early age. And they were calling that priming. And then once the menstruation started, then they were forcing them to have children so that they could send those children to Georgia and Mississippi to be abused. So a lot of the remains in Moses African Cemetery are the remains of those young African girls. And that is why Montgomery County is trying to bury this history, because it is such a horrific history of uncivilized European behavior that they would just like to forget it, cover it up, and make sure that no one else has access to this information. So we are fighting for our history right now. And also we're fighting, and Sister Comfort will talk about this, to demand that 3 Black men who were killed in Montgomery County are charged with, the policemen are charged with murder, and that they stand trial and they face their crimes, the significance of their crimes. Right now, none of these men have even been charged with the crime of killing a human being. So I'll stop there.
Well, March, before you stop, could you give us the names of those 3 Black men who have been shot and killed here by police in Montgomery County?
Yeah, there's Fanan Haile Berre. He's a young Ethiopian, actually Ethiopian man. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, he had just been fired from his job because of COVID. He had a COVID firing. He was having a really hard day, but he was standing in front of his home. And I think he was holding a knife or something. And one of the neighbors called. And instead of the police calling an ambulance or calling a mental health person, this policeman came. Before he even exited the car, his gun was out of the holster. So when he exited the car, the gun was in his hand. And he started barking orders at Fanan, telling him to get on the ground, it was just a lot of barking orders. And if you've ever been the victim of a crime, like being held up, like I was held up once, I can tell you, you don't even understand what the person is saying when you see the gun. So here this guy was barking all these orders, and Fanan maybe didn't even understand what he was saying. And then, so he started backing away, and the policeman, instead of like de-escalating, he aggressively moves towards him. And then I think at some point, Fanan just got really sick, and anyway, the policeman ends up shooting him. The second one is Robert White. This is another situation, Silver Spring, often the same District 3 police department, walking through his neighborhood. Sort of, he had some mental health issues, and the way he calmed himself down was by taking a stroll every day. And policemen saw him taking a stroll and decided to start questioning him. And I think about 5 minutes later, he was dead. And then, of course, there's our dear sister, Comfort, who's on the phone, and it's her son, Emmanuel Ogutuga. And of course, we'll allow her to talk about her child. But those are the 3 Black men that we are demanding now that policemen are charged with the crime of killing human beings.
And that's a great segue. So before we go into Comfort, the reason why we're here today, because we need to talk about issues that are happening right here, nationwide, daily. And we want people to think and consider, go back and look at these cases. Have these police go back and review these cases where you are in your localities of these police brutality, these police shootings that might not have been on video camera, but still have impacted our communities and still were, I won't say illegally, but wrongfully killed. And no one's ever had any judgment or any justice. So we're doing this today locally here in Montgomery County, along with looking at everything that's going on nationwide. We want you to think about really taking on some of these cases that we have never been really solved. And there's been no justice for our young brothers and sisters of being killed at the hands of the police or any vigilante that's out there. So we got to really think about this, consider it, and have them really start reviewing some of those things that have happened over
one of the things I want to say, Dr. Butler, is, DNA is a very interesting science, isn't it? Yeah. Because we know that you can tell a lot by the DNA of either a human being or an animal, or even, I would say, the DNA of an organization. And the American police force comes out of what was called slave patrols. And so when Africans started running away from these torture institutions or death camps that Europeans like to call plantations, they started deputizing white men who were who took an oath that they were going to gather surveillance, they were going to gather intelligence, they were going to surveil these death camps, they were going to apprehend the Africans who were running away to save their lives, and if necessary, they were going to kill. That is the DNA of the American police force. And I would offer that it has not changed in 101 years. That DNA does not change. So, you know, at least for my organization, we are calling for the police force to be abolished. We don't believe in reform. You cannot reform a DNA. It's either your DNA structure pretty much outlines and predicts what your behavior is going to be, what you're going to look like, what color your hair is going to be. The same is true for the police force. So you can't reform that. You have to abolish it. And so we're calling for the police force to be abolished and for a new institution that serves the people to be established.
Thank you, thank you. So on that note, we're gonna allow Comfort to come in. And one thing, remember, audience, you can call in. You can call in with questions. So we'll be taking questions right after Ms. Comfort speaks. So please, if you're on the line, if you'd like to call in, please call in. The number's on the screen. We would like for people to join us in this conversation because we have to look for solutions too. So we want you to join on this conversation. On that note, Comfort, I want to welcome you again. And, you know, I am really sorry for your loss, but I want you to tell us a little bit about your son and what happened.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Comfort Oludipe, and I'm the mother of Emmanuel Olajide Okutuga. Well, in spite of what is going on all over the world now, I kind of predicted it, you know, in 2011, when my son was brutally murdered right here in his own backyard in Silver Spring, 3 months before he graduates from Bowie State University. I mean, that if there's no accountability, I don't see them stopping. I mean, this police officer, Christopher Jordan, literally get away with murder. So if he can do it, why can't Officer Bulliger that killed Mr. White? Why can't David Cohen that killed Finan? Instead of them to reprimand Christopher Jordan, they move him from Silver Spring to Rockville, which is also Montgomery County. I guess they don't have Black people in Rockville because as far as I'm concerned, we are all part of human race. We all originated, according to the Bible, from Adam and Eve. I don't know how they come about that one race is better than the other when we are all God's children. Okay? Even with the video, because I mean, the murderer that got away with my son's murder, there was a video that was owned by Montgomery County liquor store that captured a point of his crime. And if you go on my website, justiceforemmanuel.com, you will see my child. I mean, he was 26 years of age, but you know, he will live in my heart forever. And that's my child. We came here, we worked very hard. I don't even know anyone that stands in the street corner selling drugs. I vend. All my kids, all my children, they have college degrees from reputable universities in this country. And my elder son, Isaiah, doesn't even have a student loan to you know, I mean, he finished his master's in accounting in 2003. And Elizabeth Okutuga went to Johns Hopkins. I don't know anyone so when it was a shock when they come to me and said my son had been killed by the Montgomery County Police, I said that, I mean, there must be some mistake because who did he kill? Did he steal anything? And the police officer is going to tell me that he thought he had done something. And he told him, because I mean, according to the people, we have 13 eyewitnesses and a video. Go on my website, Justice for Emmanuel, because this is very difficult for me. But I thank God for my faith in Christ, because, you know, I've cried, bitter cry that God, I know, you know, you won't allow it if not for the glorification of your holy name. So, I mean, these people are killing Black people from the cradle to grave. They're still killing us, even, you know, I mean, dead, we have paid the utmost sacrifice. And now they're digging up the grave at Moses Cemetery. As a mother, the worst pain you can ever go through in your life is to bury your child. I mean, and knowing fully well that your child was murdered just because of this, the color of his skin, even if, let's even assume he had committed a crime, are you supposed to uphold the law as a police officer? You are not supposed to be the judge, the jury, and executing innocent people. And this officer took it upon himself to murder my son on the street like a dog, telling me I thought he had done something. And to add insult to my injury, the state attorney, when I filed against them, told me somebody in the state attorney's office mistakenly deleted the evidence. So the judge ruled justifiable homicide. I went to the White House. President Obama put me, you know, to testify on 21st century policing with Chief Ramsey, former chief of police of Washington, D.C., now in Philadelphia, commissioner. And we testify, and I mean, everything, instead of Montgomery County to reprimand Christopher Jordan, they move him from Silver Spring, 3rd D, the same 3rd D. I don't know what it is with 3rd D, that when your citizens that are in distress, it's either you kill them or you put them in jail, like Miss Holly. Holly was, you know, going through some, you know, I mean, distress back on my son's birthday, December 3rd of 2018. They moved this police officer from Silver Spring, the same police officer that murdered my son, identified himself. I'm Officer Christopher Jordan with the badge. The Miss Harley, instead of, you know, I mean, maybe she panicked because, I mean, if you hear that, you know, I mean, if you have encounter with the devil himself, I don't know how you will react, you know, because I've never been in her shoe. Then she took off on I-270. And the officer was telling us that he had to hang for the dear life on the hood of the, that's according to him. It's not like I believe him. Maybe he's trying to prep his way into killing another Black person. That's the way I feel, because the one we saw with our own eyes with George Floyd, we all knew this man died at the spot. And you're going to tell me that my eyes were deceiving me, that he died in the hospital? Come on, are we watching the same video now? Yes. So, you know, I mean, my attorney saw the video. 13 eyewitnesses. How come you knew somebody died and you get careless? If that was a police officer that was killed, even with him saying that Miss Holly threatened his life, they charged her with assault on a police officer, attempted manslaughter, everything. She's still in jail as we speak.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And Christopher Jordan did die. He killed my son. And there has been a lot of complaints about this officer. That is what I presented to President Obama. That, you know, you can go on the website, click on the testimonials. Myself, Dr. Marsha, you will even see the video of Emmanuel, because just like he knew he was going to die. So on that previous Mother's Day, he made a video for me that, oh, even though I'm a man, I'm not going to tell you the content of that video. That is exactly, you know, his picture, Emmanuel Okutuga, in his own words to his mother on Mother's Day, the previous year he was murdered.
So justice has not been served.
Justice is not being served. So how will you not, you know, I mean, it's not like you are encouraging them, but if Christopher Jordan can get away with it, the same police precinct, we have 5 in Montgomery County, the same third D. If, you know, my son was the first to be murdered in third D. If he get away with it, instead of them, you know, they didn't fire him or anything, they just put him on administrative leave for like 3 months and move him to Rockville. Where can you go in the whole world that you will not encounter Black people? We are all over the world.
Sister Comfort, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. I want to introduce myself to you and to the audience. I'm the co-host. My name is Zaki Amir. I'm actually the invisible man. For the audience, you can see the Black woman who's the mother of civilization.
Yes.
But we know that you have been under attack as well. I'd like to share something with you to help try to ease the pain. There was a song that came out some time ago. It was called Black Seeds Keep On Growing. I don't know if you are familiar with it. So I'm going to read it to you because I'm not a good singer. It says, speak drums, tell the real story for the people who were condemned in slavery time, their brothers and sisters for being ignorant. Listen to the story the drums tell. They say you, Black man, should love those brothers and sisters, even in death, because their valiant struggle for life made you what you are today. Yeah. So keep on growing for them in mind, in body, and in soul. The seed was planted in a big uncultured land, planted by a Black uncultured man. No one gave much thought to the Black seed. No one seemed to care about its need. Black seeds keep on growing. Without water, the seed just couldn't last for long. And it goes on. But that's the main ingredient. And as we're talking about the disruption of people in cemeteries, now in 1911, that's when the property was bought, and it subsequently was sold. The cemetery was sold in 1959 from the research that I've done. I remember my grandparents, my grandfather, in the cemetery where they buried my great-grandmother. They buried us on top of each other and we couldn't find her. And it just broke his heart. So what I want to say is, those of us who are alive, we must remember those who have been killed. And there's the number on the screen. If you can, please call in and express some thoughts. So I'm turning it back over to you, Dr. Butler.
Well, I just wanted to say, I want to give the website for justiceforemmanuel.com. And the video that Sister Comfort was talking about, you can also see it on our website at gapbuster.org. We've also put it on our website, the video, so people can see the video of his son for Mother's Day the year before he was slain and struck him down like a dog in the street, basically, by a police officer. So I want you to look at that, please take a look. And also, one thing I want to mention for our listeners out there, this is an issue of Black folks. It's not an issue of African Americans, not an issue of Africans. It's an issue of Black folks. When you have the skin color that we have, the beautiful colorations that we share amongst a diaspora, a bullet from the police is meant for us more likely than someone who does not have our coloration. So please think about that, because we need to unify as a people. It's not about African American, it's about being Black. As you see, unfortunately, 2 of these young men who have been shot down by the police were from the continent. And we got to think about that. We are in this together. And I want to turn this over to Dr. Coleman Adebayo to see she can tell you a little bit more about what's going on with the cemetery, because we're talking about from the womb to the tomb.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what's going on at the desecration of one of our most historical sites for our people. And what can we do to prevent the movement of the desecration and the humiliation and the disrespect, and just the lack of even realizing this is our history, destroying our history day after day after day. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Sure. I just wanted to go back to what the brother said. He was talking about how land was sold.
Yes.
The land was not actually sold in the way most people think of land being sold. The oral history we have is that a group of white men would go to the house, because Bethesda was at one point, this area was an all Black area. And they decided that they didn't want Black people to live in Bethesda anymore. We used to be 30% of the population here. Now we're 3% of the population in Bethesda. And white men, white vigilantes, would get into a car or whatever, and they would drive to the house of a Black family, and they would pull out the father, put him in the car, and drive away with him, take him away somewhere. And then they would force him to put his ex on a sheet of paper and say, don't worry, we'll still let you stay in the house as long as you want to stay. So being terrified for himself as well as his family, he put the X on the paper. And then next week, another group of white men would come and say, you know, you signed away the rights to your property. So for example, if you're in Bethesda and you go to Whole Foods, that used to be the site of a Black family farm. And that Black family's farm was sold 2 years ago or 3 years ago for $35 million. Now that family, we happen to know, sold that land for probably less than $20. That's the way they steal our intergenerational wealth, because land is wealth. And the same thing is also true with the cemetery. After emancipation, so-called emancipation, the land that we call Moses was actually bought by a Black family, Black women. We believe that the family bought the land because their relatives were buried in Moses. And then some white men came to them. We don't know what the white men said. All we know is that these Black women sold the land, quote unquote, sold the land for $10.
$10.
$10. And we know from court records that the next month, that same white landowner was renting out the land for $1,000 a month. So it's inconceivable to me that that Black family didn't know how much that land was worth. Right. And that they were in fact coerced, that they were terrorized into selling the land. So that's why I don't like to use the word sold, because we were terrorized into that land. And it's one of the reasons why one of our demands is give it back. Give the land back to Macedonia Baptist Church, because that's the church, that's the institution that we've all agreed really represents families of the people who are buried in Moses. So what are our demands? So we're asking everyone, please come to the rally on Monday, which is June 8th at 5 o'clock, Bethesda, Maryland. And we are going to talk about these issues. We are demanding that all the police, those 3 policemen who killed Emmanuel, who killed Robert White, who killed Fanon, we want them in jail now.
That's
We
right.
want them in jail now. There's been too much nonsense going on, too many lies going on, too much racism, white supremacy. These men have not been treated like human beings. I wanted just to give you another example with Sister Comfort. She received a phone call that told her that her son had died. And they had already, Comfort, please correct me if I'm wrong, they had already transferred his body to Baltimore from Silver Spring.
Yes.
She wanted to go see her son. This is her son, the fruit of her womb. And she was told that the morgue was not open on weekends.
Wow.
Now, how inhuman can any institution be for a grieving mother that the morgue was not open, so she'd have to wait until Monday? So this is the way they treat Black people. They treat us as though we are not human. And so we're demanding that those police officers are in jail now. And we also want them to stop the construction of our ancestors, of our sisters, our daughters in Moses Cemetery. So how are we going to achieve that? We've decided to call for a boycott. We have decided to stop spending our money in these white businesses until they start doing the right thing. So we're calling for a Justice Black Monday, where we're asking everyone of goodwill to stop spending their money on Monday until they arrest those 3 officers, until they stop digging in our grave in Moses. Now, we don't think that that's a heavy carry for you not to spend money. So that if you decide to spend money, that means that you don't have justice at the root of who you are. And so we're going to start putting up demonstrations every Monday at different white businesses. And when people go into those businesses, we're going to tell them, you are supporting white supremacy by buying in this store, because this has to stop. And we know that the only thing that really matters in the United States is money. So we want to hit them where it hurts. We want to hit them with the dollar, and we're asking for everyone. And, we will announce the day when we commence the boycott, but we want people to start thinking now about boycotting white businesses on Monday in support of putting those 3 white policemen in jail, I hope for the rest of their lives, and also to stop digging up our ancestors in Moses African Cemetery.
Thank you so much, Sister Marcia. So what we can do basically is join the march on this Monday.
Yes.
That's the first and foremost thing that I think that we all should think about. And please come out. We know there's a lot of marches and protests going on, but we need to put pressure on the system, because they keep saying the system is broken, but the system's not broken. The system was made not to allow Black folks to have any rights. We are still in the Constitution, 2/3 human. Mm-hmm. They have not changed that. Every 20 years, they got to give us the right to vote. So we still have not reached a point where we are equal citizens in this country, a country that was built upon the blood of our ancestors. We have to really think about how we need to move ourselves. And people keep saying, I do believe you should vote. But guess what? We have to have people to vote for. We have to have support in our communities and building up Africans, Black folks, those who have our ideas to become legislators, to become judges, to be in the position for us to vote for. We have to become economically empowered. Right now, if you look around this area, How many Black places can we even go and shop?
That's right.
Not many. We are not economically empowered as a people. We don't support one another. And these are some things we have to truly start thinking about. We have to think about unifying our dollars. We have to think about unifying our services. We have to think about becoming one. We are one people. And we have to start thinking as one people. So everyone, the first thing we can do is please come out to the march on Monday. We're going to be marching from Macedonia Church over to the gravesite. We want you there at 5 o'clock. Please come out, and there'll be other actions to follow thereafter and things that we can do to start moving forward, because we have to move forward because we're at a standstill right now. And I'm really, really excited about the energy and the momentum and things that are happening nationwide. And actually, I'll say worldwide, because Africa's stepping up. The continent of Africa, there's presidents, there's protests, there's things that are going on nationwide in other countries as far as Germany, England, Canada. There's other countries who are coming to the aid of what is happening. And this is only for what they see. This is not the unseen violations and crimes that go against us. These are what they can see. So imagine if we were to start policing the police and putting out everything they've done to us daily, minute by minute, and having a rolling tally of what's been happening. We can start really saying we need justice. And justice does start in the courtroom. But for us, we need to start having justice starting from the womb, because we don't have justice starting from the womb. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to take a real quick break before, because we're going to end about 8 o'clock, but I wanted to take a real quick break. And they're going to be playing the video that was played when we first started. So for those of you who've come on after the fact and did not get to see the video, we want to show this because it's a very, very impactful video. And we want people to listen to this. And if you can, please send it out to other folks, because everything we have learned to date as far as violence upon violence has not been by us. This is something that's learned from the people who have oppressed us. So on that, I want Mr. Pierre to please show the video, and then we're going to come back and we're going to see if we have questions, and then we're going to wrap up by 8. But if you can play the video, Pierre.
Reason why buildings are burning is because this city, this state would prefer preserving that white nationalism and that white supremacist mindset over arresting, charging, and helping to convict 4 officers who killed a Black man. That is the reality of what we're dealing with. This is not just a few cops doing things across the country. This is not a good cop versus bad cop situation. This is Ahmaud Arbery being shot down by white men on the streets of Georgia. Breonna Taylor being killed in her home. This is in New York City, where we were until freedom. We were just in New York fighting the police officers who, in the name of social distancing, were damn near killing Black young people on our streets. This is a coordinated activity happening across this nation. And so we are in a state of emergency. Black people are dying in a state of emergency. We cannot look at this as an isolated incident. The reason why buildings are burning are not just for our brother George Floyd. They're burning down because people here in Minnesota are saying to people in New York, to people in California, to people in Memphis, to people all across this nation, enough is enough. And we are not responsible for the mental illness that has been inflicted upon our people by the American government, institutions, and those people who are in positions of power. I don't give a damn if they burn down Target. Because Target should be on the streets with us, calling for the justice that our people deserve.
Talk about it, Tamika.
Where was AutoZone at the time when Philando Castile was shot in a car, which is what they actually represent? Where were they? So if you are not coming to the people's defense, then don't challenge us when young people and other people who are frustrated and instigated by the people you pay. You are paying instigators to be among our people out there throwing rocks, breaking windows, and burning down buildings. And so young people are responding to that. They are enraged, and there's an easy way to stop it. Arrest the cops. Charge the cops. Charge all the cops. Not just some of them, not just here in Minneapolis. Charge them in every city across America where our people are being murdered. Charge them everywhere. That's the bottom line. Charge the cops. Do your job. Do what you say this country is supposed to be about, the land of the free for all. It has not been free for black people, and we are tired. Don't talk to us about looting. Y'all are the looters. America has looted black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. So looting is what you do. We learned it from you. We learned violence from you. We learned violence from you. The violence was what we learned from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
Speakers today are Dr. Marsha Coleman Adebayo and Comfort, and Mother Comfort. I want to say Mother Comfort Adebayo. Oh, you know I'm really bad on these names.
Oladipe.
Oladipe.
I'm pronounce all these labels.
Yeah, and I want to thank you and welcome you again.
Yes.
You have your host, myself, Dr. Yvette Butler, Yaboa, and my co-host, Zakir Amir, on the line. So please, Miss Sister Comfort, can you tell us some of the things that we can do and how we can support you and where you would like to see this going? Because we need to have some action items, and we really need to start thinking about what we can do to really ensure the safety of our young individuals and our community and ourselves.
Exactly my point. Thank you again. When we were doing the protest, Justice Mondays, at the Department of Injustice, there was a young man, nephew Thomas, because Sister Marsha is saying that only three young men, my son, Robert White, and Finan, but nephew Thomas, I don't know if you still have his number. You remember he's always calling the names at the Justice Monday. For Montgomery County alone, the names are over 100 that doesn't have any, no video, nothing. So, the number is, you will be surprised, is in the thousands, in this whole state of Maryland. And of course, Montgomery County is part of Maryland, the last time I checked. But, this officer had how many complaints against him? Maybe like over a dozen that I was aware of against Black people. But because, there was no reprimand, he got away with everything. So why wouldn't, go to, then kill my son? So what we're saying is that, part of what we want happen now is that if there's any complaint file against all these racist cops. You know, they should publish it.
Okay.
Because the one that killed Robert White. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Pierre, we can hear you also, Pierre.
Oh, okay. So the one that killed Robert White had a lot of, you know, over 400 complaints in Baltimore. Then he relocated to Montgomery County. Where else can he go that he will get away with murder but here?
Okay, Pierre, we can hear you.
So whatever y'all can do, because like I said earlier, that, you know, the worst pain a mother can ever go through is to bury their child just because of the color of the skin. So we have to make these police officers accountable. Get them accountable
Yes.
so that, you know, if you commit any crime, you do the crime, do the time. You know, you should not be above the law that you are supposed to protect. So we want them to be held accountable. Okay, you will see that they will stop. You see how long it took them to charge that murderer in the case of George Floyd?
Yes, ma'am.
You see how long it took them? Are we all watching the same video? Not to talk about when somebody is they want me to believe that somebody mistakenly deleted the video.
Correct, correct.
So, you know, I mean, we are watching the same video. Execution, I mean, that was a barbaric way of killing a human being, just sucking the life after. I mean, and look at that police officer putting his hand in his pocket like he was having a picnic or something.
That's right.
Yes, yes.
Where is the humanity in these people? I mean, I was sick to my stomach as a mother of Emmanuel Kuruga.
So sorry to cut you off, Sister Comfort. So we're gonna, because I want to make sure we get some action on what we can do. So we need more police accountability and more people putting in, having the record put out there of what they're doing. I want to mention for all the listeners out there, the Montgomery County Police has started also a Police Advisory Commission. Please, please, please consider getting on some of these advisory boards. We have to be at the table to see what is happening. If we're not at the table, we're on the plate. And a lot of times I say in the African proverb, if you're not at the table, you're under the table. And you don't get to see what's on the table. So we have to be at the table. We have to be there and on these commissions and on these advisory boards that are nationwide. We got to be at the table to make sure what is going on, what's happening, and demand some results and some outcomes. So, Sister Marsha, could you please tell us some of the action items that you think that we can do? Because we need to really move forward from here. And, you know, I'm still, this whole couple of weeks, not even thinking about COVID-19 and how that is killing Blacks at a disproportionate rate. But just
like flies.
Couple of weeks has been heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. It has been very, very difficult for me. So could you tell us some of the things that we can have our listeners out there think about what they can do and how we can start moving forward and making a difference?
Well, I must tell you, I have just the opposite feeling about the last couple of weeks than you have. I was really distressed about COVID-19, particularly since it's affecting mostly Black people. But I am so heartened to see Black people in the streets again. I mean, I'm from Detroit, and I'm from a tradition of struggle. And so struggle actually encourages me. It helps me wake up in the morning. I feel like chewing steel in the morning. And I am so sick of Black people being passive and just accepting what's happening to our children and to ourselves. So to me, to see Black people in the street is where we belong. And so I'm actually encouraged by the last couple of weeks, and I'm extremely happy, quite frankly, to see the energy in the street. And I'm particularly proud of our children. They remind me so much of the Black Panther Party and the fact that our children were growing up in struggle and learning how to struggle. We would ask people to please come to the demonstration, 5119 River Road on Monday at 5 o'clock. I'll tell you, the police chief or whatever called our house today to ask us whether or not we wanted to have the police at this rally. And we told them, no, you guys have done quite enough. We can take care of ourselves. We do not need the police. When did the Black community start calling the police? We didn't call the police during segregation because we knew if they came, they were going to kill us, right?
Right.
So at some point during integration, we got the wrong impression that we were just like anybody else, and we start calling the police. Instead of calling a minister or calling our brother and sister or calling a neighbor, now we're calling some white policeman with a gun into our house. So there's a bit of craziness that Black people have experienced since they thought they were integrated into American society. So I think this is all good, that we're learning to stop depending on police, to stop calling them into our homes, to stop telling our kids to go shake their hands. We have to tell our kids that these are our enemies. They're carrying guns to kill us. That's the reason why they have a gun, is to kill Black people. And we have to be real clear about this. So we're asking people, come on Monday to the demonstration, 5 o'clock, Macedonia Baptist Church. And then after we have our rally, we're asking people to bring a love offering to those little girls who are buried in Moses Cemetery, a little doll, a little ribbon, whatever you got laying around the house that you think would symbolize what a little girl would like to play with. And we are going to make a memorial right in Bethesda on River Road to those little African girls that are digging up their graves right now, because they're not going to do it anonymously. We're going to make this as painful as possible for these grave robbers. They're going to be so sorry they ever decided to fight with us, because we are the daughters of Harriet Tubman, and we're not taking their nonsense anymore. So we want to make sure that this is public. And then we're going to start a boycott Monday. And so until the murderer of Sister Comfort's son is in jail, we're going to keep boycotting. We're going to keep hitting them where it hurts, which is their pocketbooks, because we know how much these people love money. So since they love money, that's where we're going to go this time. We're going to boycott their businesses until we even have white businesses calling the county executive saying, can you please close down that construction of the graveyard? Can you please arrest these police officers, because my business is suffering? So we're going to hit them where it hurts, because they're so much in love and they're so addicted to money. Let's go to where it hurts. So we ask people, come out on Monday. Let's start the conversation. Let's get organized. And at some point, let's really talk about national liberation of Black people from white oppression.
Thank you so much. But I do want to clarify. I'm not disheartened by the protest. I'm excited about these protests.
Yeah.
I'm disheartened about the killing of our young.
Amen. I'm with you, Coach.
Because during this protest, they have not been nonviolent. What has happened? They've put out a call to hurt our young babies out there marching. I want them to march. My daughter actually is one who's been out there marching effectively every day. I've been supporting them. Like, yes, please, anything you need, anything you want. And I've encouraged more folks to go out and do march, because that's the only thing we can do right now. Mm-hmm. And with our young people, let me tell you, they're not like us. They are more resilient.
Yes.
They are this whole piece, what has been historically, we march and we stop. I don't see any ending of this until some change comes. And like Sam says, song, a change gonna come. The change has to come with our young people.
Nail on the head.
And actually, I'm gonna be going out there too. I'm excited about it. wear my mask. I'm gonna do all the other
Yeah.
good things. Because I'm gonna be out there too. Because I marched in my younger days. I was lucky enough to march and organize with Ron Dellums for the Free Mandela movement back in the 90s. And so I want to, I'm putting on my marching and my feisty shoes, because guess what? We all got to be in this together for them and with them, because nothing is going to change without us being together with them. So
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that you're also one of the speakers at the rally, as is Sister Comfort. So if people want to come out and meet the two of you in person, please come out on Monday, 5 o'clock.
You know, I'll
And
be
let's
there.
put our fists in the air.
You know, I'll
And
be
let's
there.
say it is on. The fight is on now. The fight is on.
I know you all
Yeah.
talk about the COVID-19, but the killings of our children is even far greater. The number of, our children that have been murdered by these racist cops is greater than the number of people that die in the virus, even though the number is a little bit higher than the white counterpart, but still the number in the whole of United States, that people you don't even hear about, that they just sweep under the rug, is a whole lot.
Yes.
Because during the protest, I met a lot of mothers, and I have to be a mother in console, that I have to start consoling other women, because I met Amadou Diallo's mom, Secomfort, that police officer, they shot my son 41 times. It only took one bullet. So we have to console each other, and so, whichever way, because this is not an African issue or American issue. This is, Black issue. Because when they see our children, they don't know if they are Africans. They only see color, and that's all they have to see, and that's it. So, this is very, very important. There's Corona out there, but this one is more, more important than the coronavirus, because more people die with this epidemic than the virus. So, yes.
Dr. Butler.
Yes.
Before you go, I just want to say, we have to remember those who have come before us. But as I saw the tape, it was a young lady, and I'm invisible for a reason. We need to see the Black man become the person who stands up and enters into the fight. We should quit hiding behind you, the Black woman.
They will kill them, sir. I agree with you.
It's do or die.
They will kill a young man.
Yes, ma'am.
They're killing them.
I always say behind a good man, there's always a strong backed woman. So we can't do it alone.
Step out the shadows.
Yeah, we can't do it alone. We need to do it together.
Yes.
Got to do it together. And so I want to thank everyone today for coming on the show. We've had over I guess 500 viewers come on, and we didn't have any questions, but I hope someone got something out of this and know what the next steps are. We need you out there Monday with us. We need you out there when these protests that are happening during this weekend. Even though in the rain, get your raincoats on, all that great stuff.
Right.
Please be out there, because in numbers, we make a difference. And we have to really start pulling ourselves together. And we need all of our African brothers and sisters with us.
Yes,
we need all African Americans. We need all Afro-Latinos. We need everybody out there with us. Everybody. Because what happens to people of color happens to you as well. So we need to be in this together. And so this is something that we need to start a movement. And we need to start a movement now. So I want to thank everyone for coming on today and listening. We're going to be on every Friday at 7 o'clock. We hope to have the ambassador back on, as well as Brother Salim, just to talk about just coloration and color and how do we truly identify ourselves, and getting past some of those issues that solving it for the Black folks. of ensuring that we are together as one and making sure that we move forward. And I want to thank all of my African brothers and sisters who are on the call from abroad, and to thank you for being in this fight with us, and thank all those heads of states who have stepped up and said something, and also the African Union and putting out a statement. We want to thank you for being in this fight with us, because we cannot do it alone.
No.
The country, this is the country of civil liberties, civil rights. This is the country of so-called free land, free for all. The country, I could go on and say what this country is supposed to represent, but right now, we are definitely the most embarrassed country in the world. We're looked upon as the most violent country in the world against our own citizens. We do not have civil liberties in our own country, which we built. So I want to thank you again for coming on. I want to thank my guest. Please thank my guest for being on today, and we will have you on again. Thank you. Thank you. And for all those, good night. Thank Africa Today again.
Man.